What's up guys, it's Will back again, and today's review is the latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok, the third installment in the Thor franchise, directed by Taika Waititi, kicks off when the evil Hela invades Asgard. Hela, the goddess of death, seeks to rule Asgard and many other lands in an attempt to establish her dominance over the Nine Realms and bring death to those that defy her. Thor, after his failed attempt to protect Asgard, gets stranded on a strange planet where he's captured by Valkyrie and forced to become a gladiatorial fighter against his friend and fellow Avenger, the Incredible Hulk. Before long though, Thor assembles a team, and the rest of the film is spent watching the team or crew attempt to escape this strange planet and take back Asgard from the evil Hela. Alright, so Thor Ragnarok had a pretty interesting marketing strategy. In contrast to the previous two Thor films that were decently serious overall, the third installment was marketed as a more lighthearted, silly, and fun popcorn flick. And honestly, that's exactly what this movie is. Marvel's marketing efforts were not misleading in the slightest. And overall, I enjoyed Thor Ragnarok, but I think the more that time passes, the more hollow I find the entire experience to be. A lot of people are claiming that this film sets a new standard for the MCU, and I really could not disagree with that more. This isn't one of Marvel's worst films, but I wouldn't say it's one of their best either. I think it's somewhere in the middle of the pack. This is not a film that's ever going to bore you. It moves at a very quick pace, and I found myself pretty entertained for the vast majority of it. There's some exceptional visuals, some really nice comedy, very solid performances across the board, but I gotta be honest, I'm not overly fond of the goofy at all cost approach that Marvel is currently taking with their films. This is two films in a row now in Spider-Man Homecoming and Thor Ragnarok that I felt missed great opportunities to be something much more than just a silly, albeit entertaining superhero film. The problem here lies in the fact that Marvel seems fairly intent on making every film with the same tone as Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's not a tone that aligns naturally with some of their heroes and their stories. Marvel has always injected bits of humor into their films to add varying elements of lightheartedness to make the experience more family friendly. That's totally fine. I think the vast majority of people have always been fine with that. But now it seems that Marvel is intent on taking the comedic route above all else. And I think that's going to be something that's not going to resonate with a large segment of their fan base. Thor Ragnarok is a very entertaining movie that I very much enjoyed watching, but I feel like it's the kind of experience that won't resonate with viewers in the way that Marvel films of the past have. I think the primary reason for that is that the film oftentimes refuses to take anything seriously. Most people probably won't even realize this when they're watching it, but I think when you leave the theater and start thinking back on your experience, you realize that it could have been so much more if not for the tone that just seems off. There's several very funny moments, but there's this inescapable feeling of emptiness I felt when reflecting back on how little character development takes place over the course of this 2-hour film. I consider that a huge missed opportunity because these characters have sort of become parodies of themselves, and that's kind of sad to me because I've become very attached and very invested in these heroes and their stories that it kind of made me feel like I've been betrayed a little bit by Marvel with how little they're progressing those characters. Marvel has always had a formula to their films, but now the formula seems to have shifted heavily in favor of comedy. Thor Ragnarok a lot of times feels like a comedy film with superheroes in it, more than it does a superhero film with some comedy in it. And that's probably something that's going to resonate strongly with the family-friendly crowd, but I think will disappoint a lot of the more hardcore Marvel fans that are heavily invested in these characters and their growth, because there isn't much growth here for any of the characters really. Like I said, it's not like the movie isn't funny, it certainly is, but there has to be a certain point where the filmmakers sort of rein things in and refocus the audience with the serious issues at hand. Ragnarok does really well with its comedy, but it doesn't do so hot with its drama, and it occasionally doesn't know when enough's enough and to put its serious face on. Hell, even Guardians does that. Guardians juggles tones pretty effectively. Thor Ragnarok doesn't really. This is starting to become like a vent session, but I just feel like this direction that Marvel is going feels like an over-commercialization of their product, an attempt to be overly family-friendly above all else, even telling a compelling and well thought out story. Some people will love that. For me, I don't. I miss the attempts at serious character development. But like I said, there are definitely some things Thor Ragnarok does really well. The visuals are outstanding, and this is right up there with Guardians for Marvel's most vibrant movie yet. The costumes, the planets, and the battle sequences, they all look really colorful and really great. Visually, Marvel hit another home run here. It's a beautiful film to look at. Performance-wise, I think everyone's really good. Chris Hemsworth is good in the role as always, albeit a little more comedic this time around. Tom Hiddleston returns as a new, more family-friendly, albeit still mischievous Loki. Mark Ruffalo's good as Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, but don't get your hopes up for development. There's basically none to be found for him. Cate Blanchett is solid as Hela. She's not a great villain, but she's certainly serviceable. And Tessa Thompson is a nice addition to the team as the strong-willed Valkyrie. Their performances are all pretty good. I also really enjoyed the action. There's a lot of style to be found in the battle scenes that lends itself to the strong visual offerings. Marvel has always been good with action action, and they continue that trend here by delivering some really cool fight scenes that don't quite rank near the top of the list, but are still fun, lively, colorful, and exciting nonetheless. But overall, Thor Ragnarok is a fun experience, but I really do believe it's important that you go in expecting comedy and lighthearted superhero fun above all else, because that's what this movie is. I thought it had solid performances across the board, some nice comedy, vibrant and lively visual offerings, and some strong action. Sadly, I also felt the film didn't juggle tones well and felt overly silly, and the character development was lacking pretty heavily. Regardless, I'm gonna give Thor Ragnarok an 8 out of 10, and generally recommend you check this one out in theaters if you enjoy Marvel movies or you're just looking for some fun in general. Make sure fun is your highest priority though, because that's what this movie offers first and foremost. So did you guys see Thor Ragnarok yet? What did you think of it? And if not, let me know why not. And also let me know your favorite Thor film. Honestly, I'm taking Thor 1. I think it has the best story and characters. That's all for now though. This is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next video.